10 cars, over 7,000 combined horsepower. One built so violent, the NHRA banned it from the drag strip before it ever raced. Another lapped the Nürburgring faster than a Porsche 911 GT3. And one of them makes 1,025 horsepower on pump-grade ethanol and rips the front wheels off the pavement at launch. This isn't a list of fast cars. This is the final roll call of the most savage American iron ever built before the V8 era dies forever. Stay until the end. The number one car on this list did something no muscle car in history has ever done, and it will never be legal to build again.
Number 10, 2024 Ford Mustang Dark Horse. Ford didn't replace the Shelby GT350. They evolved it, sharpened it, and renamed it Dark Horse, a naturally aspirated 5.0-liter Coyote V8, the most powerful naturally aspirated production Mustang engine Ford has ever built, screams 500 horsepower and 418 pound-feet of torque to the rear wheels through a Tremec 6-speed manual with rev matching or an available 10-speed automatic for drivers who want to focus on the corners. 0 to 60 disappears in 3.9 seconds. The quarter mile falls in 12.2 seconds. Top speed climbs past 166 miles per hour. But the Dark Horse wasn't built for straight lines. It was built to embarrass European sports cars on a road course. MagneRide adaptive dampers read the pavement 1,000 times per second. Brembo 6-piston front calipers clamp down on massive 15.4-inch rotors without a Pirelli Trofeo RS tires. The same compound used by the Porsche 911 GT3 RS bite into the asphalt like the car owes them money. The handling package adds a larger rear wing, adjustable strut top mounts, and Pirelli P0 Trofeo R semi-slicks that turn the Dark Horse into a track weapon disguised as a Mustang. Inside, deeply bolstered Recaro sports seats lock you in place. A 12.4-inch digital cluster floats above a 13.2-inch center display, and a flat-bottom Alcantara-wrapped steering wheel keeps your hands exactly where they need to be. This is the last naturally aspirated Mustang that will ever exist before electrification swallows the lineup whole. Price, $59,565. A naturally aspirated V8 just opened this list. And there's still a car here that makes over 1,000 horsepower and got banned from the drag strip the same week it launched. If you leave now, you'll never know which spot it landed. Subscribe and stay locked in.
Number 9, 2024 Dodge Challenger SRT Hellcat Red-Eye Widebody. The last call for the loudest American V8 ever mass-produced. Dodge ended Hemi production in 2024, and the Hellcat Red-Eye Widebody was one of the final shots fired before the lights went out. A supercharged 6.2-liter Hemi V8 erupts with 797 horsepower and 707 pound-feet of torque through the rear wheels only. No all-wheel drive, no traction safety net, just 315mm wide Pirelli tires and a driver willing to commit. 0 to 60 detonates in 3.4 seconds. The quarter mile burns down in 10.8 seconds at 131 miles per hour. Top speed reaches 203 miles per hour. The wide-body fender flares push the stance out 3.5 inches per side. Bilstein adaptive dampers manage the 4,492-pound curb weight through 3 selectable drive modes. Brembo 6-piston front calipers grip 15.7-inch 2-piece rotors that refuse to fade even after repeated abuse. SRT Power Chiller routes the air conditioning refrigerant through the supercharger intercooler, dropping intake temperatures before launch, a feature borrowed straight from the Demon. Inside, an 8.4-inch Uconnect display anchors the dash. Laguna leather wraps the seats. A 19-speaker Harman Kardon system fights a losing battle against the supercharger whine. This is the muscle car that scared insurance companies, drag strip officials, and an entire generation of foreign performance brands. Dodge will never build another. Original MSRP, $86,160.
Number 8, 2025 Ford Mustang Shelby GT500 Code Red Tuner Edition. Shelby American took the already discontinued GT500, ripped off the factory supercharger, and replaced it with a twin turbocharged setup that produces 1,300 horsepower on E85. Let that number land for a second. 1,300 horsepower from a Mustang badge. Carroll Shelby's company didn't make this car for daily drivers. They built it for collectors who wanted the most violent street-legal Mustang ever assembled by human hands. The 5.2-liter Predator V8 is fully forged. Twin precision turbochargers replace the factory blower. A reinforced 7-speed dual-clutch transmission channels torque to a beefed-up rear differential. 0 to 60 happens in 2.8 seconds. The quarter-mile falls in 9.9 seconds. Top speed exceeds 200 miles per hour with the high-speed package. Carbon fiber wheels shed unsprung mass. Carbon ceramic brakes refuse to fade under repeated track punishment. Magna-Ride dampers recalibrated for the new power output keep over 4,200 pounds of fury composed when the turbos spool. Only 30 units will ever exist. Each one hand-built, serialized, and registered alongside every Cobra Shelby ever produced since 1962. Inside, leather and Alcantara wrap every surface. A serialized dash plaque marks the build number. Embroidered Shelby logos remind you that this is not a Ford, this is a Shelby. The badge that made muscle cars legendary in the 1960s just dropped the mic on the entire industry one more time. Price $325,000.
Number 7. 2023 Dodge Charger SRT Hellcat Red-Eye Wide-Body Jailbreak. 4 doors, 807 horsepower, 0 interest in being civilized. The Charger SRT Hellcat Red-Eye Jailbreak took the world's only 4-door muscle car and broke every restriction Dodge ever put on it. A supercharged 6.2-liter Hemi V8 produces 807 horsepower and 707 pound-feet of torque, fed exclusively to the rear wheels. 0 to 60 vanishes in 3.5 seconds. The quarter-mile collapses in 10.6 seconds at 129 miles per hour. Top speed climbs to 203 miles per hour, making this the fastest mass-produced sedan ever sold when it left the factory. The jailbreak package wasn't cosmetic. It unlocked over 6 million factory build combinations that Dodge normally restricted to specific trim levels. 14 exterior colors, multiple stripe configurations, Brembo caliper finishes in red, black, orange, and silver. Alcantara, suede, and Laguna leather interior options that let every owner build a Charger nobody else on earth would own. Bilstein adaptive dampers manage over 4,500 pounds through 3 drive modes. Brembo 6-piston front calipers wrestle the weight down from triple digits without complaint. Launch control hooks the rear tires to the asphalt and sends this 4-door forward with a violence that makes backseat passengers grip the door handles in silence. Inside, an 8.4-inch Uconnect screen anchors the dash. A suede headliner darkens the cabin. Carbon fiber accents trace every surface. The last V8 Charger sedan, and nothing replacing it will ever sound or feel like this. Original MSRP, $90,745. 3 cars down. Every one of them already on the chopping block. The Hemi is dead. The Mustang naturally aspirated V8 is on borrowed time. And the rarest car still on this list was so violent that the factory required every buyer to sign a legal waiver before delivery. Comment which car so far would live in your garage. Number 6. 2026 Dodge Durango SRT Hellcat Jailbreak. Dodge was supposed to bury this thing in 2021. They built 2,000 units, called it a farewell edition, and walked away. Then demand refused to die. The Durango SRT Hellcat came back in 2023, came back again in 2024, and the 2026 Jailbreak Edition is the longest farewell in automotive history. A supercharged 6.2-liter Hemi V8 produces 710 horsepower and 645 pound-foot of torque through performance-tuned all-wheel drive. 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds.
quarter mile in 11.5 seconds, top speed of 180 miles per hour, in a 3-row SUV that seats 7 and tows 8,700 pounds. Read that line again. 7 passengers, 8,700-pound tow rating, 180 miles per hour. The jailbreak badge unlocks over 6 million factory customization combinations: wheels, stripes, brake calipers, Laguna leather, forged carbon fiber trim. Every Durango Hellcat jailbreak that leaves the factory is uniquely configured. Bilstein adaptive dampers manage the 5,500-pound curb weight. Brembo 6-piston front brakes deliver consistent stopping force through repeated abuse. Launch control hooks all 4 wheels to the pavement and slingshots the Durango forward with a violence that makes the EPA file lawsuits. Inside, a 10.1-inch Uconnect display anchors the dash. SRT embroidered Alcantara wraps the steering wheel. A 19-speaker Harman Kardon system competes with the supercharger whine. The school-run SUV the streets refuse to let die. Price $84,995.
Number 5. 2026 Cadillac CT5V. Cadillac built the most underrated performance sedan in American history, and the world refuses to notice. A hand-built supercharged 6.2-liter V8, assembled by a single craftsman in Bowling Green, Kentucky, with their signature stamped on the engine block, produces 668 horsepower and 659 pound-feet of torque. A 6-speed manual with no lift shifting comes standard, not optional, standard. 0 to 60 disappears in 3.4 seconds. The quarter mile falls at nearly 124 miles per hour. Top speed climbs north of 200 miles per hour. The BMW M5 costs more and still can't keep up. The Mercedes-AMG E63 weighs more and turns slower. The Audi RS7 hides behind all-wheel drive launches. The CT5V Blackwing does it with a manual transmission, rear-wheel drive, and a hand-built V8. Next-generation MagneRide adaptive damping reshapes the suspension in milliseconds. Brembo brakes with massive front rotors anchor every corner entry. The available Precision package bolts on carbon ceramic brakes, Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 tires, and a recalibrated chassis that turns this Cadillac into a car track day instructors warn beginners about. Cadillac ends production at the close of 2026, which means this is the final opportunity to own the most underrated 4-door performance car America has ever produced. Inside, a 33-inch curved display sweeps across the dash. Carbon fiber trim lines every surface. Deeply bolstered sport seats lock you in place. Price $99,990.
Number 4. 2026 Shelby Super Snake Mustang. Shelby's name has been tied to the Mustang since 1967, and the 2026 Super Snake proves the legacy still bites harder than anything Ford builds in-house. Shelby American takes a stock Mustang GT, strips out the modesty, and bolts a Whipple supercharger to the 5.0-liter Coyote V8 until it produces 830 horsepower on 93-octane pump gas. No race fuel, no methanol. Just squeeze the throttle and hold on. That output eclipses Ford's own $325,000 Mustang GTD by 15 horsepower, and the Super Snake costs less than half. Only 300 units will ever exist for the U.S. market. Each one is serialized and registered in the official Shelby American registry, alongside every Cobra, GT350, and GT500 ever built. Carbon fiber front fenders widen the stance while cutting weight. A vented aluminum hood with pins channels heat out of the engine bay. A carbon fiber rear wing and diffuser pin the tail at speed. 20-inch forged wheels shed unsprung mass. Upgraded brake rotors sharpen every stop. Shelby's proprietary suspension transforms the factory chassis into something far more aggressive than Ford ever intended. A 6-speed manual with a short-throw shifter keeps your right hand busy. The 10-speed auto handles the work if you'd rather focus on the steering wheel. Inside, embroidered Shelby seats, serialized dash and engine plaques, and Super Snake door sills mark the cockpit as something the factory never touched. The Borla exhaust system makes sure everyone outside the car knows it too. Price? $175,885.
Number 3. 2025 Ford Mustang GTD.
Ford walked into Porsche's backyard and left a permanent scar. The Mustang GTD lapped the Nürburgring Nordschleife in 6 minutes and 52.072 seconds, the first American production car to ever break the 7-minute barrier, and faster than the Porsche 911 GT3 RS that cost $100,000 more. A supercharged 5.2-liter Predator V8 produces 815 horsepower and 664 pound-feet of torque, fed through an 8-speed dual-clutch transaxle mounted at the rear for near-perfect 50-50 weight distribution. 0 to 60 falls in 3.0 seconds. Top speed reaches 202 miles per hour. This is not a muscle car pretending to be a supercar. This is a muscle car that became one. Every component exists to shave time off a lap. Brembo carbon ceramic brakes anchor the front axle. Multimatic adaptive spool valve dampers shift from street to track mode in 15 milliseconds. A hydraulic ride height system drops the body 40 millimeters at the push of a button. Active aerodynamics, including a drag reduction system rear wing and underbody flaps, generate over 1,900 pounds of downforce at 180 miles per hour. Carbon fiber body panels strip weight everywhere the eye can see, and the Mustang's first ever dry sump oil system keeps the engine lubricated through sustained high-G cornering loads. Inside, Recaro racing seats wrapped in lasered Miko suede hold you in place. A 12.4-inch digital cluster and 13.2-inch center display deliver telemetry data. Ford built fewer than 2,000 units, and every single buyer was hand-selected through an application process. Price $325,000.
Number 2, 2026 Chevrolet Corvette ZR1, 1,064 horsepower. Twin turbochargers bolted to a flat plane crank V8. No hybrid assist, no electric motors, just 5.5 liters of mechanical violence. The LT7 engine is the most powerful V8 ever produced by an American manufacturer, pushing 828 pound-feet of torque through an 8-speed dual-clutch transmission to the rear wheels exclusively. 0 to 60 evaporates in 2.3 seconds. The quarter mile falls in 9.6 seconds at 150 miles per hour. Top speed reaches 233 miles per hour. Starting price under $185,000. Making supercars worth 3 times more completely irrelevant overnight. Chevrolet didn't just throw horsepower at this car and hope for the best. A massive carbon fiber aero package generates over 1,200 pounds of downforce at top speed. The smooth underbody minimizes drag. MagnaRide 4.0 dampers adjust in 10 milliseconds to keep the chassis composed while the twin turbos try to rearrange your internal organs. The available ZTK performance package adds carbon ceramic brakes, track-tuned suspension, and a fixed high downforce rear wing for drivers who plan to punish the ZR1 on road course. At 3,670 pounds dry, the ZR1 weighs less than most luxury sedans. The mid-engine layout that the C8 generation introduced makes this the first American supercar that can genuinely compete with European hypercars in every measurable category, and beat most of them. Inside, a redesigned 3-screen cockpit wraps performance data around the driver. Napa leather and carbon fiber trim dress every surface. A performance data recorder captures every lap. America's answer to everything, and the rest of the world has no response. Price $185,000. Over 1,064 horsepower, 233 miles per hour, and it still couldn't claim the top spot. The car at number 1 got banned from the drag strip straight from the factory and did something no muscle car in history has ever accomplished. 1 entry left. Don't move. Number 1, 2023 Dodge Challenger SRT Demon 170. The final breath of the Hemi era, and Dodge made sure it sounded like a war cry. A supercharged 6.2-liter Hemi V8 with a modified 3.0-liter blower produces 1,025 horsepower and 945 pounds-feet of torque on E85 ethanol. The first production Hemi to ever crack 4 digits. 0 to 60 in 1.66 seconds. The quarter mile in 8.91 seconds at 151 miles per hour. NHRA certified. Then immediately banned for running sub-9-second quarter miles without a roll cage and a parachute. The highest measured G-force acceleration of any production car ever produced, 2.004 Gs. This car didn't just set records, it forced the sanctioning body to rewrite the rulebook. Every component was rebuilt for one purpose: straight-line annihilation. Transbrake 2.0 locks the drivetrain at the line and shapes torque output for maximum launch force.
Mickey Thompson 315 with drag radials, a factory-installed first, claw the strip. A 53% stronger differential housing and aerospace-grade driveline absorb the punishment. Drag-tuned adaptive dampers transfer weight rearward so violently the front wheels lift off the pavement at launch. The first production car in history to officially achieve front-wheel lift from the factory. Only 3,300 units were ever built. Every buyer signed a legal waiver acknowledging that they were purchasing a street-legal, purpose-built drag racing weapon. Inside, the cabin was stripped to the essentials. SRT performance pages track reaction times, G-forces, and dyno readouts in real time. No pretense, no luxury padding, just the rawest, most unhinged muscle car ever to leave a factory floor. The Hemi is dead. The Demon 170 made sure it would never be forgotten. Original MSRP, $96,666.